The bridge of the UES Defiant shuddered violently as emergency alarms blared through every deck. Captain Maya Hernandez gripped her command chair, knuckles white against the armrests, watching in horror as the experimental wormhole drive tore open space in ways never intended. "Stabilize the field," she shouted over the cacophony of alerts and groaning metal. Lieutenant Commander Sato at the navigation console frantically worked his controls. The solar flare interfered with the quantum matrix. "We're being pulled off course." What should have been a routine test jump within the Sol system had turned catastrophic when an unpredicted Class X solar flare erupted at the precise moment they engaged the experimental drive. Energy cascaded through the wormhole aperture, warping its parameters beyond anything their simulations had predicted. "Engineering. Status report," Maya demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. Dr. Eliza Okoro's voice crackled through the comms, background noises suggesting frantic activity in the engine room. "The drive is overloading. Attempting emergency shutdown sequence, but the reaction is self-sustaining." The view screen filled with impossible colors as reality itself seemed to bend around the ship. The Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship and humanity's first vessel equipped with the theoretical wormhole drive, was being hurled across unknown distances, its crew helpless to stop the journey. "Brace for transition," Maya ordered, seconds before a final violent lurch threw several officers from their stations. Then, sudden silence. The alarms cut out as emergency systems reset. For 3 heartbeats, the bridge crew remained frozen, waiting for the next disaster. "Where are we?" Maya finally asked, brushing a lock of dark hair from her face as she scanned the suddenly calm view screen showing unfamiliar stars. Lieutenant Sarah Kim at the sensor station gasped audibly, "Captain, these star patterns don't match anything in our database. And the radiation signatures." She paused, rechecking her instruments. "We're at least 30,000 light-years from Earth." The impossible distance hung in the air as the crew processed their situation. A journey that should have covered mere astronomical units had flung them across the galaxy. Multiple unknown contacts. Kim suddenly shouted, her professional demeanor cracking. 2 massive formations of vessels. Unknown configurations, weapons active. The view screen shifted to tactical display, showing the Defiant had emerged directly between 2 vast armadas. Hundreds of ships arranged in distinct battle formations. Energy weapons and what appeared to be missiles crisscrossed the space between them. "Are we in stealth mode?" Maya asked, mind racing through limited options. Communications Officer Patel shook his head grimly. "No, ma'am. Our exit from the wormhole generated an energy spike visible for light years. They've definitely seen us." As if confirming his assessment, several vessels from both fleets altered course, weapon systems visibly orienting toward the unexpected arrival. "Captain," Kim's voice had dropped to a near whisper, "both fleets are redirecting weapons our way." Commander Jackson Chen, the Defiant's XO, moved to stand beside Maya's chair. First contact situations rarely start with parties already shooting at each other. "Shields at maximum," Maya ordered. "Defensive posture only." Lieutenant Patel, broadcast universal greeting protocols on all frequencies. Before Patel could comply, the first salvos of alien weaponry streaked toward the Defiant. Humanity's first contact would be baptized in fire, and Earth's most advanced warship was 30,000 light-years from home with no way back. Evasive maneuvers, Maya commanded as brilliant energy beams sliced through the void toward her ship. "Let's show them humans don't go down easy." "Evasive pattern Delta," Maya ordered as the Defiant corkscrewed through space, narrowly avoiding the first volley of alien weapons fire. The ship's inertial dampeners strained to compensate, causing the deck to shudder beneath the crew's feet. Lieutenant Rodriguez at Weapons Control reported, "Point defense systems online. Kinetic barriers at 87% and holding." The view screen displayed a tactical overlay of the battlefield, a chaotic dance of ships engaged in what appeared to be a desperate struggle. One fleet, arranged in rigid, geometric formations, methodically fired upon both the Defiant and the other alien vessels. The Second Fleet moved more erratically, seemingly focused on defensive maneuvers. "Those smaller ships," Lieutenant Commander Chen said suddenly, enlarging a sector of the display. "They're not military vessels. Look at their energy signatures. Minimal weapons, civilian-grade shields." Kim confirmed from her sensor station. "He's right, Captain. I'm detecting life signs consistent with non-combatants. Thousands of them." As they watched, 3 larger vessels from the aggressive fleet broke formation, realigning their weapon systems to target a cluster of the civilian transports. "They're going after refugees," Maya realized, her jaw tightening. The moral calculus took her less than a second. "Rodriguez, defensive pattern delta. Protect those transports." "Mom," Rodriguez questioned, fingers already moving over her console. "We have no standing orders for this situation." "We do now," Maya replied firmly. "When someone targets civilians, we don't stand by and watch." The Defiant surged forward, positioning itself between the attacking vessels and the refugee transports. The ship's advanced point defense systems roared to life, intercepting alien missiles moments before impact. Brilliant flashes illuminated the bridge as enemy ordnance detonated harmlessly against the human vessel's defensive screen. On the view screen, the refugee ships altered course, seeking shelter behind a mysterious vessel that had appeared from nowhere to defend them. "We've got their attention now," Chen noted grimly as the aggressive fleet redirected additional weapons platforms toward the Defiant. Communications Officer Patel's console suddenly lit up with incoming transmissions. "Captain, we're receiving signals from both fleets," he reported, adjusting his earpiece. "Multiple frequencies, unknown language patterns." "Run them through the linguistic database," Maya ordered. "See if the translation matrix can find any patterns." Before Patel could respond, the ship rocked violently from a direct hit. Warning lights flashed across multiple stations. "Kinetic barriers at 62%, Rodriguez reported. "That last hit packed a punch." "Return fire," Maya ordered. "Targeted strikes only. Disable their weapon systems if possible." The Defiant's railguns engaged, launching hypervelocity projectiles that struck with devastating precision. The alien vessels, apparently unprepared for kinetic weapons, suffered visible damage. "Captain," Kim called out, her voice tight with urgency. "The civilian vessels are transmitting to us specifically. They're sending mathematical sequences, basic communication protocols. I think they're trying to establish contact." Maya nodded to Patel. "Respond in kind. Use our first contact package." As the communications team worked, the refugee ships began to maneuver in formation with the Defiant, clearly recognizing the human vessel as an ally. The aggressive fleet, now fully aware of the new threat, launched a massive barrage, this time entirely focused on Maya's ship. "They don't like that we've picked sides," Chen observed as the tactical display showed dozens of enemy weapons locking onto their position. "Well, they shouldn't shoot at civilians," Maya replied, her expression hardening. "Evasive maneuvers. All hands, prepare for impact." The Defiant shuddered under sustained fire, but held its position protecting the refugee vessels. As damage reports flooded in from across the ship, Maya realized they'd just made a momentous decision. In the span of 10 minutes, humanity had not only made first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, but had also chosen a side in an interstellar conflict. Rodriguez looked up from her station, a rare smile crossing her face. "Captain, the Second Fleet is moving to support us. They're creating a defensive perimeter." "Good," Maya nodded, studying the tactical display. "Let's hope we've chosen correctly." 6 hours after their unexpected arrival, the bridge of the Defiant had transformed into an impromptu diplomatic chamber. Captain Maya Hernandez studied the alien dignitary standing before her. Admiral Zevnar stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent scales that shifted color with his movements, and 4 long arms currently gesturing in what she understood to be gratitude. "The translation matrix is stabilizing," Lieutenant Commander Chen reported, making adjustments to the device they'd hastily configured. "We're achieving approximately 70% accuracy now." The alien's words filtered through the translator with a slight delay. "Your arrival was most fortuitous, Captain. Those transport vessels carry the last children of the Turellian system. Had the Vrax Imperium destroyed them, an entire species would have been extinguished from our galaxy." Maya nodded solemnly. "We couldn't stand by and watch civilians being targeted. I'm just grateful we were able to help." Help. Admiral Zevinar's scales rippled in what Chen quietly identified as their equivalent of laughter. "Your vessel's defensive capabilities allowed you to intercept weapons fire that would have overwhelmed our shields, and your unusual projectile weapons, they penetrated Vrax barriers designed to stop energy attacks." Commander Chen leaned closer to Maya. "Captain, I believe they've never encountered kinetic weapons before. Their technology seems entirely energy-based. They call themselves the Collective," Chen explained to the assembled bridge officers, the translator matrix making continued progress. 17 different species in a mutual defense alliance. The aggressors are the Vrax Imperium, a highly regimented, expansionist civilization. Maya was about to respond when Dr. Eliza Okoro entered the bridge, her expression grim. The chief engineer's uniform was stained with coolant fluid, and dark circles under her eyes testified to hours of non-stop work. "Captain, we need to talk," she said quietly. Maya excused herself from the alien delegation and moved to a corner of the bridge with Okoro. "The wormhole drive is critically damaged," Okoro reported without preamble. "The quantum focusing arrays are shattered, and the exotic matter containment system is barely holding. We're stranded, Captain." Maya absorbed this news with outward calm, though her mind raced through the implications. "Can it be repaired?" "With the right materials and equipment, yes. But we don't have them aboard," Okoro replied. "Some of the components required don't even exist yet. They were prototypes from Earth's advanced laboratories." Maya nodded, processing this. "How long before we can make another jump?" "Without replacement parts." "Never," Okoro stated bluntly. "We're 30,000 light-years from home without a way back." Maya returned to Admiral Zevinar, her expression carefully controlled. When she shared the news of their predicament, the alien scales shifted to a deep blue hue. "Your technology. The way you appeared from nowhere. Nothing in known space can do this," Zevinar said, his forearms making a complex gesture that the translator identified as indicating great interest. "Even the most advanced collective ships require days to travel between star systems." The alien admiral studied Maya for a moment before continuing. "Perhaps this meeting was destined, Captain Hernandez. Help us defeat the Vrax Imperium, and we will dedicate our finest scientific minds and resources to repairing your vessel." Through the bridge viewport, the regrouped Vrax fleet was visible in the distance, their formation suggesting they were preparing for another assault. "We have technology that might benefit you," Zevinar continued, "and you clearly possess capabilities unknown to our scientists. Together, we might achieve what neither could alone." Maya glanced at her officers. Security Chief Rodriguez looked skeptical, while Chen appeared cautiously optimistic. The decision would shape humanity's first steps into a wider galactic community and determine whether they would ever see Earth again. "Admiral," Maya finally said, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement, "I believe we have the beginning of an alliance." Multiple Vrax vessels approaching, attack formation. Lieutenant Kim's voice cut through the tense atmosphere on the bridge. "They've committed their main battle group." Captain Maya Hernandez studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. The Vrax fleet had reorganized after their earlier encounter, adapting their formation to what they believed would counter the Defiant's capabilities. It was a textbook response, methodical, calculated, and utterly predictable. "They expect us to behave like collective ships," Maya mused. "Let's show them something different." Rodriguez, "Ready all railguns." Chen, "Coordinate with the collective vessels. I want them to hold position until my mark." The Vrax commander had deployed his forces expecting the insignificant human vessel to crumble under concentrated fire. Every simulation in their tactical computers predicted swift victory against this unknown ship, regardless of its unusual weapons. Railguns hot. Weapons Officer Rodriguez called out, her fingers dancing across her console. Solution locked. Hold. Maya commanded, watching as the Vrax formation continued its approach. Let them commit fully. The enemy vessels advanced in perfect synchronization, energy weapons charging as they closed within optimum firing range. Now, Maya ordered, full evasive, pattern Epsilon. All railguns, fire. The Defiant lurched sideways and down, a maneuver no collective ship could perform with such speed, just as the Vrax unleashed their energy barrage. Their shots passed through empty space where the human vessel had been moments before. In response, the Defiant's railguns roared to life. Hypersonic tungsten slugs tore through space at a significant fraction of light speed, striking with devastating kinetic force. The Vrax shields, calibrated to stop energy weapons, failed catastrophically against physical projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. 3 enemy vessels listed immediately, venting atmosphere and debris. They're adjusting, Chen reported, monitoring the enemy response. Reconfiguring shields. Deploy smart missiles, widespread, Maya countered. Let's see how they handle simultaneous threats from multiple vectors. A wing of Vrax fighters swooped in, only to be met with a barrage of missiles that adapted their flight paths unpredictably, confounding the aliens' targeting systems. Several fighters disappeared in blooms of silent fire. On the bridge, Maya watched the enemy commander's tactics with growing understanding. They fight by the book, she murmured, then smiled grimly. But we haven't read their book. Communication to all collective vessels. Execute flanking maneuver beta on my mark. The coordinated assault caught the regimented Vrax formation in disarray. Unable to adapt quickly to the unorthodox human tactics, their perfectly arrayed battle group fragmented. Commander Chen, tactical opportunity at coordinates 227 Mark 43, Maya said, pointing to a section of the display where a damaged Vrax scout ship had drifted away from its escorts. Captain, are you suggesting? Boarding action, Maya confirmed. That vessel contains their tactical database. We need intelligence. Within minutes, a strike team led by Security Chief Rodriguez had launched toward the crippled Vrax ship. The operation was high risk, but executed with precision that left the collective observers stunned. While the Vrax focused on the main battle, the human team captured the scout ship with minimal resistance. Engineering to bridge. Dr. Okoro's excited voice came through the comm system as the Defiance engineers began examining the captured vessel. Captain, you need to see this. When Maya arrived in engineering, Okoro was practically vibrating with excitement. Their propulsion systems, the quantum field manipulators specifically, they're similar to components we use in our wormhole drive, but more advanced in some respects. Okoro pointed to the alien technology laid out on her workbench. With modifications, these could replace our damaged focusing arrays. Captain, her eyes widened with the implications. These might be exactly what we need to repair our drive. For the first time since their arrival, Maya felt a surge of hope. Perhaps they weren't stranded permanently after all. How quickly can you integrate them? She asked. It'll take time, Okoro admitted. But it's possible. We can go home. The collective council chamber hummed with whispered conversations as Captain Maya Hernandez entered. 12 representatives of different species fell silent, their attention fixed on the human officer. The vast, circular room was carved from what appeared to be a single massive crystal, refracting starlight from the viewport dome above. The humans fight with extraordinary adaptability. One counselor whispered audibly, a tall, willowy being with luminescent skin. Their vessel moves unlike any ship in known space. Another counselor, a stocky reptilian with elaborate cranial ridges, responded, perhaps they are what the ancient texts foretold, warriors from beyond the rim who would turn the tide. Admiral Zevinar guided Maya to the center of the chamber, where a raised platform allowed all council members to observe her. The Defiant had been escorted to the collective's mobile headquarters, a massive station hidden within a dense nebula. Following their successful joint operation against the Vrax fleet, Captain Hernandez of Earth, Zevinar announced formally, has demonstrated both tactical brilliance and moral courage. The refugees of Torellia live because of her intervention. The eldest counselor, a being composed of shifting crystalline structures, spoke in a resonant voice. We propose a full alliance with humanity. In exchange for your continued assistance against the Vrax Imperium, we offer our most advanced technology and materials necessary to repair your vessel. Debate erupted among the council members. Some expressed concern about sharing technology with an unknown species, while others argued that human tactical knowledge alone was worth the exchange. As the discussion intensified, Maya's communicator chirped discreetly. Security Chief Carmen Rodriguez's voice came through clearly despite the encrypted channel. Captain, we've decrypted the Vrax database from the captured ship. You need to see this immediately. Excuse me, Maya said to the council, stepping aside to review the data Rodriguez had transmitted. The images that appeared on her device chilled Maya to her core. Schematics for a massive stellar destabilizer, capable of triggering supernovas on command. The target coordinates matched the collective's home system, with its 17 inhabited worlds and nearly trillion sentient beings. This wasn't just conquest, it was extinction on an unimaginable scale. Maya studied the technical details with growing horror. The weapon was already constructed and installed aboard the Vrax flagship. According to the deployment schedule, they intended to use it within the next 72 hours. She returned to the council platform, interrupting their ongoing debate. Counselors, I must share critical intelligence we've obtained from the captured Vrax vessel. Maya projected the schematics into the chamber's holographic display. The Vrax have built a stellar destabilizer. They plan to trigger your home star to go supernova, destroying all 17 worlds in this system. Stunned silence filled the chamber, followed by expressions of terror spreading across a dozen alien faces. The crystalline Elder's structure dimmed noticeably. This explains their recent strategy, Zevinar said quietly. They weren't trying to conquer our worlds. They were simply keeping our fleets occupied until their weapon could be deployed. Is there any defense against such a weapon? Asked the willowy counselor, voice trembling. Maya shook her head grimly. Not once it's activated. Our only option is to destroy it before they can use it. The flagship is at the heart of their armada, Zevinar objected. It's protected by their entire fleet. Even with your human tactics, a direct assault would be suicide. Maya's expression hardened with determination. Then we don't assault it directly. We need to act now, and I have a plan. She stepped forward, addressing the entire council. On Earth, we have a saying. Sometimes the best way in is through the back door. The council chamber erupted with questions, but Maya raised her hand for silence. The Defiant's damaged wormhole drive can't get us home yet, but Dr. Okoro believes we can modify it for a single short-range jump directly inside the Vrax flagship's shields. This is suicide, Commander Thomas Mitchell said, checking his tactical gear one last time as the strike team assembled in the Defiant's launch bay. The normally stoic XO couldn't hide the tension in his voice. Maybe, Maya admitted, helping him secure his combat harness. But we're talking about 17 planets, nearly 1 trillion lives. She met his eyes. If you have a better idea, I'm all ears. Mitchell shook his head. No better ideas, Captain. Just making sure we all understand the odds. Across the bay, Dr. Eliza Okoro worked feverishly on the wormhole drive controls, her team integrating the salvaged Vrax components into the human systems. The modified drive hummed dangerously as she made final adjustments, occasionally emitting arcs of energy that danced across the engineering station. It'll give us one short jump, she explained when Maya approached. enough to bypass the Vrax's flagship's defenses and position us directly alongside their command section. After that, the drive will need at least 6 hours to recharge, if it doesn't burn out completely. Maya nodded grimly. Then we make this count. The plan was audacious to the point of insanity. Use the modified wormhole drive to appear inside the Vrax's defensive perimeter, board the command ship, disable the stellar destabilizer, and extract before anyone realized what happened. The collective fleet would create a diversion, drawing away as many Vrax vessels as possible. Boarding team, final check, Mitchell called out. 20 of the Defiant's best security personnel lined up, alongside 5 collective specialists with intimate knowledge of Vrax ship layouts. We've loaded the target schematics into your tactical displays, Lieutenant Rodriguez explained, distributing the final equipment. Once aboard, we'll split into 3 teams. Alpha Team secures the insertion point. Beta Team creates a diversion in their engineering section. Gamma Team, led by Commander Mitchell, makes for the weapon control chamber. Maya addressed the assembled strike force. This mission determines the fate of an entire civilization, but more than that, it will define humanity's first steps into a wider galactic community. She paused, looking at each team member. Earth doesn't know we're here. They can't send help. We're all that stands between the Vrax and genocide. The team responded with silent nods, their expressions resolute. Wormhole drive ready for activation, Dr. Okoro announced, her voice tight with stress. 30 seconds to jump capability. Maya returned to the bridge, taking her command chair as the mission clock counted down. All hands, prepare for combat jump. The Defiant systems hummed to a fever pitch as energy built in the modified drive. The view screen showed the massive Vrax flagship, surrounded by its escort vessels, utterly unaware of what was about to happen. Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. Okoro called out. Reality twisted around the Defiant as the wormhole drive tore open space. For a sickening moment, the ship existed in 2 places at once, then snapped into position directly alongside the Vrax flagship, so close that the bridge crew could see individual viewport ports on the enemy vessel. Jump successful, Kim reported amid the blaring alarms. We're inside their defensive perimeter. Boarding tubes, deploy, Maya ordered. Strike team, you are go. The operation began with textbook precision. Mitchell led the boarding team through the connection tubes and breached the Vrax hull. They encountered confused resistance at first, the aliens completely unprepared for enemies appearing inside their shields. We've breached the outer hull, Mitchell reported through the tactical channel. Proceeding to objective. The strike team fought their way through corridors of stunned Vrax soldiers, making steady progress toward the weapon chamber. Meanwhile, the Defiant engaged the nearest escort vessels, drawing attention away from the boarding action. Captain, we've reached the superweapon control room, Mitchell reported 15 minutes later, his transmission punctuated by weapons fire. But we have a problem. It's already powering up. Maya's blood ran cold. How long until it's active? The countdown shows 5 minutes until full charge, Mitchell responded, his voice steady despite the sounds of approaching Vrax reinforcements. We need more time to disarm it. You don't have 5 minutes, Maya responded, anguish in her voice as the tactical display showed Vrax reinforcements converging on the flagship. Commander, extract your team now. Negative, Captain, Mitchell replied after a brief pause. We can still stop this. Get the Defiant clear. We'll finish the job. Tell them we went down fighting. Commander Mitchell's last transmission came through clearly before the channel dissolved into static. Captain Maya Hernandez ordered the Defiant to jump clear moments before the Vrax flagship imploded, collapsing inward as the superweapon's energy matrix destabilized. The massive vessel disappeared in a blinding flash that rippled outward, consuming nearly a third of the Vrax fleet in its wake. The superweapon had been stopped, but at a devastating cost. 3 days later, Maya stood in the Defiant's observation lounge, watching as collective ships swept the debris field for any remaining Vrax vessels. The enemy armada had broken and scattered following the loss of their flagship and command structure. "He saved trillions," Lieutenant Commander Chen said quietly, joining her at the viewport. Maya nodded, her reflection in the transparent aluminum showing eyes hollowed by grief and exhaustion. Mitchell always said the measure of a person was what they'd sacrifice for others. She turned to face Chen. "I never thought our first diplomatic act in the galaxy would be written in the blood of our own people." News of the humans' pivotal role spread like wildfire across collective space. Stories of the ship that appeared from nowhere, wielding strange weapons and unpredictable strategies, traveled from world to world. Some accounts grew exaggerated with each retelling. No, the humans couldn't breathe vacuum or red mines, but their actual accomplishments were impressive enough without embellishment. For the first time in decades, the seemingly unstoppable Vrax advance had been halted. The balance of power in the sector had shifted dramatically. Captain Hernandez found herself invited to strategic planning sessions with collective commanders who eagerly studied and adapted human tactical doctrines. The concept of asymmetric warfare was revolutionary to species whose military traditions spanned thousands of years but had grown rigid and predictable. "Your people think differently," Admiral Zevnar told her during one such session. "You see possibilities where we see only obstacles." Meanwhile, Dr. Okoro worked day and night with alien engineers, piecing together a solution for the wormhole drive. The combined knowledge of 17 species focused on understanding the human technology, determined to help their saviors return home. When she finally emerged from engineering after nearly 2 weeks of continuous work, Okoro's expression told Maya everything she needed to know. "We can make one jump," Okoro explained in the privacy of the captain's ready room. "The drive matrix is too damaged for anything more than that. Home to Earth, or stay here." She placed a data slate on Maya's desk. "Your decision, Captain." The choice weighed heavily on Maya. Earth needed to know about the wider galactic community, particularly if there were threats like the Vrax. But the collective had become allies, and abandoning them during their rebuilding seemed wrong. The decision was made for her the following day when a Vrax defector was brought aboard. The former communications officer had fled during the flagship's destruction, carrying a cache of classified intelligence. "They know about Earth now," the defector revealed through the translation matrix, mandibles clicking nervously. "Your coordinates were extracted from the Defiant's damaged databases during the initial battle. Scout ships have already been dispatched." Maya felt ice form in her stomach. "When?" "Immediately after your arrival," the defector replied. They departed at maximum speed toward the coordinates. Lieutenant Kim confirmed the nightmare scenario. If they're using their fastest scout ships, they could reach Earth in approximately 14 months. Maya's path became crystal clear. Humanity's homeworld was now in danger from a threat they knew nothing about. The Defiant had to return, not just as explorers coming home, but as harbingers of a new era for Earth. "Begin preparations for the jump," Maya ordered. "We're going home." The Defiant hummed with activity as final preparations for the jump were made. Captain Maya Hernandez stood in her ready room, looking at the faces of her reduced crew, faces that had aged years in mere weeks. The loss of Commander Mitchell and his team had left a wound in the ship's heart, a quiet absence felt in every corridor. "We're going home," she announced, watching relief and determination flicker across their expressions. "But our mission isn't over. Earth needs to prepare for what's coming." Admiral Zevnar had provided comprehensive intelligence on Vrax capabilities and weaknesses, detailed scans of their ship designs, and technical specifications of their weapon systems. This knowledge would give Earth precious months to prepare defenses against the approaching scout ships. "Will 14 months be enough time?" Lieutenant Kim asked during the final briefing. "It has to be," Maya replied. "Earth's technology may be behind in some areas, but we've always excelled at adaptation, and we'll have help." Several collective scientists had volunteered to return with the humans, bringing advanced technology as gifts and offering their expertise to help Earth prepare. The alliance would continue, despite the vast distance that would soon separate them. Dr. Okoro supervised the final calibrations to the wormhole drive, her team working alongside alien engineers in a blend of technologies that would have seemed impossible weeks ago. "The modifications are holding," she reported, "but this will be our last jump. Once we activate the drive, the exotic matter containment will degrade beyond repair." Maya nodded, accepting the finality of their situation. There would be no return to the collective, no further exploration of this distant part of the galaxy. At least not until Earth developed its own reliable wormhole technology. As the countdown to departure began, Maya recorded a final message for the collective council. "What you face is terrible, but never underestimate the power of desperate defenders protecting their homes. The Vraks believe they understand warfare, but they've never faced humanity. We found you by accident, but when Earth develops reliable interstellar travel, we will return by choice. This is not goodbye. It's the beginning of a much longer journey." Admiral Zevnar stood on the Defiance Bridge during the final moments before departure, his scales shifting through colors that the translation matrix identified as representing both gratitude and sorrow. "You arrived as strangers but depart as our most honored allies," he said, performing a ceremonial gesture rarely offered to non-collective species. "May your journey home be swift, and may your world heed your warning." With final farewells exchanged, the alien delegation departed, and the Defiant prepared for its last jump. The modified wormhole drive powered up, drawing energy from systems throughout the ship in a cascade that pushed safety parameters to their limits. "All personnel, secure for jump," Maya ordered, taking her command chair. "Destination: Sol system, Earth orbit." The Defiant vanished in a flash of energy, leaving legends behind as it tore through the fabric of space-time. The journey that had taken them across the galaxy in an instant when they arrived now seemed to stretch for an eternity as the damaged drive struggled to maintain cohesion. When they finally emerged near Saturn, the familiar rings of the gas giant brought tears to many eyes on the bridge. Home. Improbably, impossibly, they had made it back. Maya opened a channel to Earth Space Command, her voice firm and clear despite her exhaustion. "This is Captain Maya Hernandez of the UES Defiant. Earth is in danger. The galaxy is larger, deadlier, and more wondrous than we ever imagined, and it now knows we exist." As the transmission reached Earth, humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. The Defiant had left for a routine test and returned as the harbinger of both grave threat and unprecedented opportunity. Earth would never be the same. In distant space, Vrak scout ships continued their methodical journey towards Sol, unaware that their prey was now forewarned and preparing. When they arrived, they would find not an unsuspecting civilization, but a humanity ready and waiting, with allies, technology, and knowledge that would change the equation entirely. The accidental explorers had become Earth's first line of defense.